Hi, I'm Malin, your mystical science nerd, exploring life freely and figuring it out as I go.
And I'm Jordan, your storyteller trying to make a difference, find myself in motherhood, and raise two fiery daughters at the same time.
Together, we are two Leo moons, proof that there is no one way to be a powerful woman.
Because women contain multitudes, and we're here for all of it.
Yes, welcome back, listeners, and let's do a little cheers to that. We are doing
moment.
wine tonight.
It's a wine kind of night. I don't necessarily identify as a wine mom. However, there are nights that require wine.
Yes, absolutely. We are going to have today's episode is going to be kind of a deeper dive into astrology. I kind of want to build a case for astrology. And then we'll touch on the big three, which is just a small part of everything there is to learn within it. But I'm super excited. But because of that, if we dive into our vibe checks, I'm going to keep my vibe check on the lighter side.
Totally fair.
It's going to be a lot of astrology talk. So the vibe check, luckily, there's not too much going on. So the things that I'll touch on are that, let's see, we've got Mercury stationing direct on the 20th, and this is coming out the 19th, so the day after. And when Mercury goes direct, all planets will be direct. There's oftentimes one, if not more, planet that is retrograde. And remember, not bad.
Yeah.
Just it causes you to pause, maybe go back, relearn, reconsider. But when everything is direct, the movement is more forward. So that's going to be, I hope, feeling refreshing.
Yeah.
That I will say that when Mercury stations direct, we will still be in a shadow period, which just means the planet has to move direct, but we're still going to be having some of the effects of Mercury in retrograde. So we're not necessarily in the clear, but let's take a win where we got to win. On the 20th as well, so the same day that Mercury goes direct, we also move into Aries season. So we're out of Pisces season, starting Aries season, which is the first sign of the like wheel, so of the zodiacs. So it's kind of like an astrology new year. So we're starting the cycle over, and it's also the first day of spring, which is intentional. So, you know, that energy of like begin again, paired with everything is direct, paired with time to move forward. So I hope that that's the energy that we have in store, and yeah, let's see how it goes.
Thanks for sharing that. I definitely think I'm having one of those moments where, whether it's because of what's going on in the universe or not, it has been a very reflective couple of weeks for me. And I feel like I'm ready to move forward. And the energy for me right now almost feels anticipatory, like it's coming, it's about to happen. And I'm looking forward to how it feels when things shift. And maybe there'll be some kind of like cosmic clarity of like all the thinking that I've been doing. It's been fucking exhausting over the last 3 weeks. Might give me some little cosmic direction.
Yeah, how Piscean of you though, to like really be in your inner world.
It's been very uncomfortable.
I bet it has been for a lot of people. I bet it has been. All right, let's move on to a political check.
Yeah.
Okay, I have to ask you.
Okay.
You can say no, but I have an idea for your political check.
Okay.
And this is self-serving, and I'm going to assume that I'm not the only one. I am not as politically informed as you are, and I hope that there are people who are listening who maybe you're more informed, or maybe you're like me, who you're a smart, capable person, and you're like, I don't totally get everything about politics. I'm still, if not more, getting text messages, emails, social media heavy news on like, donate to my campaign. And it is such a it makes me like, frustrated because I feel like most people are probably in the same boat. We don't have a lot of money right now. Like our financial system is not going well for most Americans. And I'm sure, I understand that like to have a campaign and to get your information out there, I understand it takes money, but when someone is asking me too much, it actually makes me be like, do I still even want to vote for this person?
Yeah.
Like it gives me the ick. Capitalism gives me the ick. And so I know I need to find this balance between I live in this society and this is how we function, and my values are not like strictly giving money all the time. So anyway, that's a really long-winded way to explain like my personal frustration, but help me understand how I should be thinking about this. Like, do they really need our money?
This is a great question. I think I'll start by saying that your ick is valid. I do think that there are campaign staff people, politicians that need to reflect on how we structure fundraising for campaigns and be better about meeting the moment and be better about recognizing that people are really, really struggling. However, it is absolutely necessary to ask for donations to fund a campaign, especially if the person running is not an establishment party member.
Okay.
Or if they don't come from money. So the way that our political system is structured is that it is very expensive to run for office. It costs money to file. You have to take off time from work to run for many offices and pretty much go unpaid. If we want people in office that are actually representative of the people, they're not going to have a lot of money to run with, and they're going to need grassroots donors. It's very complicated. We desperately need campaign finance reform. But if I was going to like directly answer your question, I think that it is important for us to support our candidates in any way that makes sense for us. So they ask for donations, but there are tons of other ways to get involved that might be more accessible to a person at the moment. I donated $20 to the runoff candidate that I support in my district's congressional runoff, but I followed up with an email because she's a single mom, an organizer. She's taking time off work to run for Congress against an establishment Democrat in the primary runoff. And while my $20 isn't a lot, I'm a very skilled graphic designer and marketing strategist, and I have skills that I can offer her where I don't have the money to offer. So I emailed her directly and I said, these are the things that I can do. I wish that I could do more, but if you're looking for people to help you, count me in. There's more that's needed in a campaign than just money. So if you don't have the money to donate, that totally makes sense. But I would implore you to think about, what can I offer? What skills do I have? What network do I have? Every time you get a donation text and you can't donate, send a text to somebody else that just says, hey, have you heard of this candidate? I really care about them because of X, Y, and Z. And if you can train your brain to get in that habit, by the end of the campaign cycle, you're going to have sent text to 50 people that might be inspired to go and vote because of what you said. And that is just as, if not more valuable than a $500 or $500 donation.
I love it. Thanks for making me feel better.
No, it's annoying. And I honestly don't know who writes those texts, because as a campaign, like a marketing person, I would just be like ripping my eyeballs out every time I had to type, Jordan, do you know what's going on right now? Jordan, we could really use some help. And it's like, so could I.
Yeah. Yeah.
What do you mean you could use some help?
I'm also one of those people who's very offended when somebody uses my name and I don't know you.
Oh, yeah. Like they just bought it from a database somewhere.
When someone's like Malin and it's a number I don't recognize, I'm like, what is happening? And then when I see it, I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah. And it always comes with like a picture or a link or whatever. Don't get me wrong. We need to support candidates with grassroots donations, but the asking is pretty excessive.
It's not a presidential election, but
Right.
let's say the next presidential election rolls around and we pretty much know our Republican and our Democrat, and by PS, I hate our two-party system. But like at that point, if they're still asking for donations, is it safe for me to be like, no?
I am really hoping that the Democratic nominee for the president in 2028 has taken a pledge to not take big money. And so at that point, their whole campaign will be financed by grassroots donors. And if that's the case, it's worth donating. If there's still big money at play,
Don't bother.
Don't bother. Go block walk.
But what about if they've already won the primary?
And now they're running against a Republican?
Yeah, if we're down to our two candidates.
Yeah. It's still any donation is still going to help. And so, but like, what do you have to give? If it is genuinely going to put you in a hard spot to donate $20, don't donate. Spend your time. and your time will be more valuable proportionately than that $20. Spend that $20 hosting a community gathering and buying hot dogs for 20 people so that you can talk about the candidate and get them to go vote, as opposed to the $20 that, I don't know, might go towards a social media post.
Yeah.
So that's where it's like proportionality kind of matters.
Okay.
Locally, $5 makes a difference. These people are running on fumes. So now some people are going into runoffs, and those runoff elections are arguably like, some are even more important because they're not going to get as much attention and they're not going to turn out as many voters.
You talked about the possibility of runoffs, and I was like, guess they're not happening because I haven't heard a thing about it.
Yeah, no, and then it just goes away, out of sight, out of mind. Like we talked about, people are in survival mode. They are trying to figure out what is for dinner, how am I going to pay for my medication, how am I going to pay for my mortgage. It is impossible for us to hold everything that is happening right now. And it's unrealistic for anyone to expect us to remember that the runoffs are happening on May 26th. The last point that I'll make on campaign finance is that there's just huge fucking money in the Republican Party. Like there is old money, new money, tech bro money, Bitcoin fake money. It's everywhere, pouring out of their ears. That's why the Republican Party is so goddamn driven to create tax breaks for the rich and to buy out big pharma and to, don't worry about your debt, don't worry about your loans, don't pay any taxes, you're good, because that means that they'll keep getting those big donations so that they can keep winning. So until we have reined in campaign finance rules, there's always going to be a lot of money on the other side. So anything we can do to offset that imbalance is important. At the end of the day, we are all just people trying to figure out how best to operate in a broken system and give what little we have to make a difference.
Yes.
And that's
beautifully said. Beautifully said, for real, because that is exactly how I'm feeling, and I assume it's how a lot of people are feeling. And that kind of might lead us to maybe doing a little scoops.
Yeah, let's scoop it out.
Maybe some short and sweet scoops.
Yeah.
Let's see, my single scoop. Sometimes I get like so poetic on here, and this time I'm like, that's fine for a scoop. I'm going through a lot, big transition, started a new job, loving it, but learning a lot. My brain has literally hurt when I've come home. Like I'm not even having my normal conversations that I check in with people. I'm like, nope, I am done, turning off. Friday night came around and I binged in one night Traitors season 4. And I have never watched Traitors before. And I have had all these people in my life be like, you need to watch it, you need to watch it. And I was like, no. One, I'm not that into reality TV. I've watched some things here and there. Sometimes I get into like a mood, but I'm not consistent. So I don't even care about a lot of the people on it. And then two, I really hate the idea of watching, of reality TV. I don't really like game reality TV. And then it's like, oh, now you want me to watch a show about like how awful humans can be to each other? I gave it a try a couple of months ago in episode 1. I was like, absolutely not. This is not happening. And I don't know what happened. Probably that I wanted something that I didn't care about on TV. I literally needed to decompress. I was up until 4:30 a.m. watching this. I was so invested and so intrigued. I got to like use a different side of my brain.
Yeah.
I think that helped. I talked to my friends over the weekend, my mom over the weekend. I was like, I need to get back into therapy. Like the self-reflection was prominent. And like, I loved it. But I got like, I think that I had the ability to like, not bed rot. I was in a different room, which is a good start. I was in my living room on the couch, little couch potato, hours and hours of investment. But like, it was so nice. And it felt, I just felt like I got to enter this different state of mind, which felt really good. But that's what I did. That's what I did this weekend. And I want everyone to watch it so that we can pick it apart together, because what the fuck? It was good.
That
it
sounds
was
fantastic.
It was mind fuck good.
Okay. I love a good binge.
I thought you were going to say, I love a good mind fuck.
I love that too.
Cigarette right after one.
I love all good fucks.
I do not love a good mind fuck, but this was a good one.
It's like when you can get mind fucked Like, it's not you getting mind fucked. It's you watching somebody else get mind
No,
fucked.
I got mind fucked.
Really?
How do I describe this? You're watching and you know who the traitors are. But I think that I'm a self-aware person, so I have clarity on how I would or would not do and who I would or would not believe. I feel like there's like meta, like step outside of the movie, and then there's like the meta, and you're like step outside the experience of watching the movie.
Yeah.
I think I'm good at that. So I think I could watch this show and have the information I had and know what was happening and also be completely familiar with how I would realistically show up. And it's poorly. It's really, really poorly. But even in my experience of watching this, there was an especially manipulative person who, as the show continued, I just became more attracted to. And that is why I am saying I need to get back into therapy.
Maybe what you're attracted to is their ability, their intelligence.
Oh, yes.
And ability to betray and play the game.
Yes. And like incredibly socially aware. I'm sorry, this was supposed to be short. Sorry about the editing, but that was my experience. It was wild.
No, that's amazing. And like, screw the editing. And honestly, my scoop can be like a mini scoop because I have to ask you, when you're reading a book, do you experience it as the first person, you are the person, or are you in the cuck chair watching the person experience the story?
I would say in general, it changes. Like I just said, I have the ability to put myself into anybody, and I have the ability to pull myself out.
Yep.
And then I have my ability to pull myself out of that.
Yes.
Like, there are layers. How much do you think that that's influenced by the narrator? Because sometimes it is first person. So obviously when it's first person narrator, I'm more in their body. And then if it's not, I can't remember what you call that right now, but
Being in a cuck chair.
no.
I think I also have the ability you're describing. The reason I say I think I do is because I can decide if I'm scared by a scary movie.
Tell me more.
If I sit down and I let my imagination run absolutely wild.
It's the willful, oh gosh, what is this called? The willful suspension of disbelief. That's what that's called. Yeah.
I will sit there and be like, my life is in danger. Everything is real. There are deadly brainwashed children in basements in suburban towns, and they are coming for us all. And that will be my truth for the entirety of the movie. And if I do that, it fucks me up.
Oh yeah.
And I have to like watch the fucking Wiggles to feel better afterwards and remind
And that
myself that
helps
good
you?
things exist. In books, I also can switch perspectives. I also have what I'll call like an ADHD superpower of being able to read and see and at the same time be thinking about what I'm reading and seeing in the book. And I'll be having parallel thoughts about what's happening in the book and how it relates to something that I've experienced. Unfortunately, also maybe my grocery list.
Yeah.
And so that's why one of the reasons why I really enjoy audiobooks, I think.
The movement, I think, helps. It's like movement can help
interesting.
you focus, probably from the ADHD, right? Like your body wants to get things done, and so you're not focused because you've actually shut off this side of you're attempting.
Yeah.
This is not real science. This is me making shit up right now, just so you know. You sound very impressed.
I am. I believe it.
But yeah, you're trying to repress a side of your brain that is over functioning, and so that over functioning is taking over your ability to be in the book. So when you can physically express that, it quiets the the signalment that you have to pay attention to me, and it's almost like a child pulling at you, and then you can still have the conversation when you pick them up and rock them or whatever. It's like rock your baby, Jordan.
Rock my baby, and the baby is my brain. I will rock my brain.
What about you?
My scoop, man. I don't know.
Your
Maybe I
pint.
should talk about my pint. My pint.
Pint.
Oh my God. I feel like I had a flavor of scoop, but this conversation makes me want to scoop from another tub.
Okay.
The best gift I've ever been given is a pair of JBL noise canceling headphones. When I put them on for the first time, this episode should just be titled Jordan has undiagnosed ADHD. When I put the headphones on for the first time and put on a song, I started bawling because it was the world being quiet for the first time in my entire life. It was just the song. I intentionally picked a song with an orchestra, and it canceled out all of my other thoughts, all of the other sensory input that I didn't even realize I was processing. And I just sat on the couch and cried. And all of my family was like, what is happening?
Amazing.
But it was so incredible. And those headphones have helped me in my family life because my partner and I will take turns wearing our noise canceling headphones when we're home with the kids so that somebody's always aware if one of them is like screaming or stuck somewhere or beating each other. But the other person gets to have that like quiet or listen to the book or listen to the music or whatever they pick. And it's been amazing. So I don't know if this is an advertisement for noise canceling headphones or just a celebration of finding another tool that helps me function and enjoy other experiences too. I love wearing them at the gym because I find the gym to be very stimulating. The lights are awful, the noise, the smells, but even just being able to turn off some of it and focus on the thing that I actually want to be listening to is so helpful. So noise canceling headphones are like the thing that I will celebrate and have brought me a lot of peace in my very chaotic household.
Yeah.
I'm a WFH mom, a work from home mom. So sometimes I'll literally be listening to a meeting with the kid pulling on my shirt. Mama, mom, mama, mom.
250 times.
250 times. Something's getting thrown out the window and hopefully it's the laptop.
Please, Jordan, I had trouble thinking of someone for this week. It's just been one of those weeks, and I think I've been avoiding men actively. Please give me some healthy masculinity. Let me know it exists.
I will happily give you your dose of healthy masculinity, and it's James Tellerico.
Okay, let's hear it.
He is officially the Democratic candidate for the Senate here in Texas.
Okay.
So come November, his name will be on the ballot. James is amazing. He is, I think, a practitioner of healthy masculinity. He was raised by a single mom, and he attributes his feminism to her influence. We live in a state where we have fewer rights now than we did when we were children. We are literally going back in time, and he advocates for bodily autonomy for all people. He is a believer that if you trust in people to take care of themselves and give them the tools to take care of themselves, they're going to do it in the way that is best for them.
I like it a lot.
Very healthy, very masculine.
Very sexy.
Very sexy.
All right, well, let's dive into our topic.
Okay.
So I want to talk about kind of the case for astrology and why I subscribe to it and I like to use it in my life and why I think it could be beneficial for everyone to use it in their life. When people are talking about astrology and they're like, what's your sign? What they're talking about is your sun sign. And then people say, well, I'm a Capricorn and I don't relate to that. Therefore, I don't believe in astrology. And it's like, okay, there's like 46,000 other things in astrology that are at play. And it's pretty normal and critically makes sense that you wouldn't like 100% agree with one of 12 signs, right?
Yeah.
So their big three is looking at multiple parts, and we'll dive into that. And so what I want to start with is kind of talking about astrology and science. I fully admit that astrology is not backed by empirical science. There are things that we know from science, but you learn there's a lot we don't know. Mm-hmm. And we are absolutely limited by our own perceptions. Mm-hmm. Like we are but human. And the scientific method, like empirical science, it's all based on observable change or what we can like measure. And that's limited in and of itself, okay? When it comes to astrology, I understand that we're just so limited, and just because it hasn't been proven or unproven does not mean therefore it must be real. Like, I don't know, but the point is that we don't know. But astrology is our oldest form of trying to understand ourselves and ourselves in the world. And when I say our oldest form, I am talking thousands of years of observation. That's a long-standing study, and we're not even that good at observing nature anymore.
Yeah.
At its core, astrology is about recognizing patterns and cycles, because we know that the patterns of where the sum of the planets are is exactly linked to our seasons, or exactly linked to the tides.
Yeah.
And you didn't have to understand astrology or mechanisms or gravity or E equals MC squared to see that those things existed.
Yeah.
Like where the cosmos were seemed to be linked somehow in some way to real changes that we were seeing in the world regularly. And so they started to apply that to people, behavior, and patterns. Before they had the language, before they had the science, before they had the technology, they found a way to see and recognize these patterns.
Yeah.
And I don't think that that should be fully ignored, or that we should be like, well, that's poppycock. Is that how you say that word?
Malarkey.
Yeah, like, I don't know. I think that there was wisdom that we might there is wisdom in some of our ancient ways, and honestly, some of it's way wiser than we are now, and connection to nature is one of them. Okay, so now I want to talk about astrology in terms of psychology.
Okay.
And this is where I think I have a much stronger argument for this should be a part of your life. So again, I understand that empirical science and astrology, it's like, it's just not there for us yet based on our limited ability to see anything in how this world works. But in psychology, we do know enough about psychology to understand why astrology can be beneficial. Astrology is a way for us to help ourselves understand ourselves, to understand relationships, and to navigate uncertainty. Like, that's a very real thing that most human beings are trying to do.
That's what we've done. That is the human experience, whether we are doing it through science or doing it through the creation of religion. We're trying to understand the things that we cannot comprehend.
Yes.
Which is my favorite fucking thing about people. We're so creative.
Well, we are very creative. And the mind is the most powerful thing.
Yes.
You can make yourself see things by manipulating your own mind. It's wild. But astrology is actually very supported by the theories from Carl Jung. In line with Jungian psychology, astrology presents a symbolic language that describes psychological patterns that exist with all of us. And we know that people like that the way that our minds operate is that we have an easier time processing and understanding with symbols or when meaning is put onto something else. And people are good at projecting. So you can project onto people, absolutely, and people do, but it's actually helpful to project onto symbols. Like, our brains process that back. I've heard it that astrology creates a safe container for that projection. I can project onto a symbol, or I can project onto my friend Jordan, and I can be angry with her, or I can be angry with Mars, And so, we say this all the time, and I think in a better way when we're talking about, it just makes me feel better when my life is chaos, and then I get to say, Mercury's in retrograde.
Right.
We are projecting our chaos onto this external symbol, but that can help us to integrate, because distance makes it easier for people to examine themselves because of shame. So when you feel shame about your bad traits or qualities, you're less likely to work on them, accept them, love yourself, care about yourself. But when you can project that from a distance, you can better act on it. Actually, I think, yeah, that is actually my next point, is that narrative psychology is like a whole mode that therapists will use, you know, and it is helpful. It helps you describe your identity. It helps you to externalize your inner world. And so we know, and science has proven that we understand ourselves through stories, which I kind of touched on already, right? And so examples of that include parts work or internal family systems. They're great methods in psychology and therapy, and they're very beneficial and have been proven. And astrology is just like adjacent.
Yeah.
It's just, you know, if anyone is like, what's your Myers-Briggs? If you're huge on the Myers-Briggs and that's been helpful for you, it is the same thing as astrology, because Myers-Briggs has been proven that it's not very, what's the word, like accurate.
Yeah.
It's not the best personality system test, whatever, out there, but people still want to know. They still, and I mean, I love personality tests. I know all the things, but people don't talk about how that's also been disproven.
Right. Interesting.
But it helps you understand yourself.
Yeah.
It doesn't need to be proven to be with empirical science to be 100% accurate, or, you know, n less than p. They have shown in psychology that metacognition is very helpful when you are working on yourself. So metacognition is the ability to observe yourself, to take yourself out of your own inner brain. That's what meditating is. Unrelated to meditating, but astrology helps us remove ourselves from our behavioral pattern, because it creates the archetypal story that we can be like, here's the symbol, my Mars is activated and this is what makes me mad, right? I've externalized it. I have a way to describe it, and there's distance, so I don't have shame. Metacognition has been shown to help people emotionally regulate, right? Because you're not responding. It helps create greater self-awareness, and it leads to better decision making. I want to go into the story, I think. So the zodiac cycle, and I'll try to do it quickly, but basically the story of the zodiac, there's 12 different signs, and you know, that's the Aries, the Taurus, the Virgo, the Pisces, the Leo, and they occur in the same order, right? But really, when you look at them, they are a journey, and it's the experience of birth through integration with the collective. And this is helpful because that describes a lifetime. It can describe, it's a cycle. That's what it is. It's a cycle, just like nature, just like the menstrual cycle, just like the moon, just like the tides. All of these cycles share, not necessarily the things I'm going to talk about, but this like rhythm. And astrology is very in touch with that rhythm. Aries is birth. This is like, you come into the world, you need to survive, and you need to get your needs met. So Aries people, I don't want to describe each one, but like if you know anything about Aries, then the shadow of an Aries is that they're selfish and that they're kind of like loud in addressing their needs, not in relation to other people. That's like a baby.
Yeah.
Right? So the story is Aries is the start, it's the initiation, it is the birth. Then Taurus is embodiment. So think of a toddler learning, I have a body. Like I can do things with my body, very material.
I want my blankie.
Gemini is awareness. So then you start using your mind and start thinking, and you start asking questions.
Oh my God.
Then Cancer is when, Cancer is really about emotional life. So probably a little bit of emotional maturing, very, very tied to family. Security is super important in the Cancer part of the story. So you're looking for emotional safety and security. Leo, so if you have emotional safety and security, then you get to experience Leo, which is self-expression, creativity. It is like abundance. I mean, I can go on about Leo because you love a Leo, but self-expression is really the story part. And then from self-expression, then you go into Virgo, which is about refinement. So you've pretty much up until this point gone through this self growth. But then you start going through more of like social growth. And so as a Virgo, you're focusing on like fine tuning. So I would say this is more like maybe early adulthood.
Yeah.
Maybe are we there yet?
Feels like it.
Libra is about relationship. So this is you in context of others and being able to give and take, and you know, the influence of how another imperfect being is affecting your imperfect being.
That feels like 30s.
Scorpio is transformation. Imagine taking everything you've learned up until this point and being like, oh, I'm transforming all of this energy and everything I've acquired into this new way of being. Sagittarius is finding meaning. They're kind of like the philosophers. So meaning is really important. Capricorn is achievement. A lot of times that's associated with a career. But achievement. Aquarius is collective. We're going to get outside of like your own thing and start recognizing that other people have needs, other people have stories, other people, yeah. So that's Aquarius energy. And then the last one is Pisces, which is transcendence. So this is a spiritual journey. Pisces is the last one. You have transcended into like the collective, the higher self, the we are all one, which is why people are like, Pisces are not here on earth. So you can experience this over a lifetime, but also like if you think about it, your growth patterns can reflect this same, like you're going to start off really selfish, you're going to start asking questions, like that same thing can be applied to all the different parts of self. And the different parts of self are reflected in astrology by your different planets.
Yeah.
So we were going to talk about just your big three. There are so many more, but that's what it would take forever. So let's just start with the big three, and this is why people talk about it. So we're going to dig into the parts of self. Your sun, or some people call it your star sign, but like it's your sun, is the one everyone talks about. I'm a Pisces. Jordan is a Virgo. Your sun is, as far as parts of self, it's about your identity, your purpose, your core self, your conscious self. Sometimes it can be like who you are becoming, but I kind of think about it as like this like deep sense of unchanging. That's who I am. Your moon is your inner world. It is your emotional world. It is like, to me, which I know not everyone has, but to me it is my narrator inside my head. Some people relate more to their moon than they do their sun sign. Part of that could be explained astrologically as you're becoming your sun sign. Like you are, it's always in you, but you grow into like really flourish, right?
Yeah.
And doesn't that make sense that if there's a core side of you, you have to take off all the layers that we're taught by society
And go through the journey to
just be your authentic self.
Yes. Yeah.
And then your rising sign, this is kind of confusing because it's not a planet. Rising is definitely a little messy because, like I said, it's not a planet on the clock that I'm talking about.
That's okay.
But it is what was on the horizon when you were born.
Okay.
So everyone born on my birthday on February 29th, you could meet 12 different people and they could all have a different rising sign.
Okay.
But the horizon is in a sign for about 2.5 hours. Rising is important because your rising is how you show up in the world. So some people will say it's like your first impression you make with people. Actually, one of the best descriptions I've heard is it is your behavioral style and life approach. So I am a Pisces, okay? I am a Pisces. My emotions are very Leo, but I am a Libra rising. And Libra is very much about like balance. They can be quite charming. They're very, very likable. So when I walk into a room, people don't normally know right away that I'm a Pisces. And it takes a while before my friends know that I'm a Leo on the inside. But I don't think that that is very obvious until I decide that that part of me comes out. For you, you're a Virgo, you're a Leo moon, but you're a Scorpio rising. And Scorpio risings, the energy that they put out into the world is intense. So there's an intensity about you. You're probably someone that people aren't going to miss. And you might be intimidating, but you also might be very magnetic because people are drawn in. There's like a mystery, there's an intensity. It is helpful to know your rising. And I don't really have good reasoning for this. It just is the way it is. Knowing your rising helps you understand your houses, and your houses are also 1 through 12 and also kind of related to that story I told. And it helps you understand where a certain transit or how planets are currently moving will affect you personally. For an example, we're going into Aries season. That's a great place to start. Aries is in my 7th house. And the 7th house, that means that the sun in Aries, the actual sun, not mine, the actual sun being in Aries is going to affect my part of my life dealing with my relationships. But every planet is doing something. And so that's where it gets complicated, because we can also look at, Venus is going to be moving into Taurus soon. So then I could look at Venus being the planet of love and harmony, but then I know that it's going to be in my 2nd house of money. How does the energy of like love and harmony play into the part of my life dealing with my finances? That's why it gets complicated.
Wow.
This is why you pay an astrologer. But I will say that I think it's helpful to understand, because all we've done is we've taken parts of self.
Yeah.
So we've looked at, if you know your sun and your moon and your rising, you can sit down with yourself and journal or reflect or consider, how am I personally identifying, or how does this resonate with me? How am I feeling? Like what's my emotional world? Whether it's true or not that what was coming upon the horizon is real scientifically, your thought process right now, is that not helpful for you to
Absolutely.
reflect on and consider and be like, what am I doing?
And you're 100% right that it distances you from the internal reality, so that I can be like, oh, I'm a Scorpio rising. And so that is why I like controlling a room. But like, because it's easier than saying like, I'm manipulative.
Yes, right? Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
But it helps you get there and think about that in a way that feels safer.
We could dive into the shadow of Scorpio, but for this conversation, let's just focus on you recognizing that manipulation might be part of your shadow self.
Yeah.
And it can be, but manipulation in and of itself can be, again, used for good or bad. It doesn't mean that you're a bad person, but it's good for you to recognize that you have, one, the ability, two, the tendency, and to be aware of when and how you apply it.
Yeah.
The other thing I wanted to say about rising, which I'm like, is that rising is associated with how you look, like your physical features. And this is the part of astrology where I was like, bullshit. Like that, no. Like I am a scientist. I understand phenotypes and, genes, and
you can't dispute DNA with this.
Yeah, no. And then
fuck.
And then I went to a metaphysical store, and I think I was just like buying herbs or something, and I overheard a conversation with someone who worked there. They were trying to guess a customer's rising. And I was listening because I was like, let's see. The problem is, the reason he was trying to guess was because the customer did not know. So they were just guessing off the cuff. Well, I know my rising. So I went up to this guy, and I was not being a bitch. I literally was like, I want to test this theory.
Yeah.
And so I bought what I needed to buy, and I said, do you mind if I ask for you to guess what my rising sign is? And he said, do you mind if I look at you for a while? And I said, go ahead, which is of course incredibly awkward. But I let him look at me for a while. I made conversation with another person. And then he said, I can't tell if you're Libra or Taurus. He knew I was ruled by Venus. Venus rules Taurus and Libra. So he was very close. He did guess it, but he just wasn't sure. And then he was like, yeah, you have a really cherub face, which is, I'll choose to take as a compliment that I'm angelic.
Yes, ethereal.
Well, that was when I was like, oh crap, is there something to this? You know, now against that, I would say if someone ever says, guess my rising sign, guess Scorpio or Libra, because it's like Scorpios are known to have really beautiful, intense eyes. And as a sign that's ruled by Venus, which is the planet of love and beauty, if he was wrong, at least it was a compliment.
Right.
So then I was like, well, if I were a less attractive Venus sign, and I'm not saying I'm the most attractive person, I'm just saying that there is something about the way I look that people find likable, not even necessarily attractive, just like, oh, she's safe.
Pleasing.
Oh, she's nice. Oh, she's kind. That's like the energy I give off. But I feel like I can, when I guess people's signs, I'm guessing they're rising because I'm guessing the energy that I'm receiving from them.
Yeah.
I've never learned to do it through physical traits, but I've gotten more curious about it. Pretty much all that to say, if you don't know your rising, but you do know your birthplace and time, it's worth looking into because it will help you know more about astrology as things change. So as I'm saying, like, oh, we're about to start Aries season and Venus is going to move into Taurus, you know, during the last week of March. If you're a person who does journal or who does have practices that help you self-reflect, this again, it's just a beautiful, well done framework that is super helpful. And I think I've said it before, but I'll say it again. I started therapy years ago. They told me to journal. I couldn't do it. I started using astrology and it's very effective for me. And so hopefully that kind of gave you a taste of like, there's the plausibility that there's more to astrology than spicy psychology. But at the very least, there are definitely psychological impacts that support that it's useful and it's fun. It's fun. I mean, I say that as a person who loves to self-reflect and has trouble organizing my thoughts. And it connects you back to nature. It connects you back to, you know, feeling small in a big, beautiful universe. And yeah, that's what I like about it.
And if you make a donation to 2 Leo moons, Malin will do your natal chart.
Oh gosh, okay, I'll practice. No, I am starting to like read more charts, and yeah, I really would like to do that more. So yeah, let me know.
Well,
yeah, we did it.
We did it.
Something we haven't been doing that I really wanted to make sure we do is end the podcast
Oh
by
my
saying
God.
goodbye. Have you noticed that?
Yes.
I know, I felt bad.
Oh, wow.
Every time it happens, I'm like, oh yeah. And that's just because we were recording our interviews kind of separately.
Yeah.
But I'm just so happy to say goodbye to you guys tonight.
So long, farewell to you. Goodbye.
Have a lovely next 2 weeks. We'll see you soon. And like, comment, share, ask questions. And thanks for being here.